What's going on, guys? Got another video on a 03 BMW 325i. Got a check engine light on, and it's burning oil, and it's running rough and stalling. One of the check engine lights was fuel trim was incorrect, and one of the problems is this guy, this little valve right here gets stuck. It's the intake actuator. That one gets stuck, and then the diaphragm goes bad and causes a whistling noise, causes a vacuum leak. And the other thing is, underneath here is a PCV valve, or a crankcase breather, which is attached to the intake down here, which we're going to be taking off. So the first thing you need to do is take off this cowl panel. So there is this little cover here. You just twist out here, twist. You'll see it there. Then you take that top cover off, and then once you take that top cover off, you're going to want to take off the 15mm nuts to the windshield wipers. Just push them down. The way I do it is I push down right here, nice and hard, a few times, just wiggle it, and it should come right off. Then after you get that off, pop off this whole panel, which just has little clips holding it in. See? Little clips. So just pop that whole thing off, take this out, and then once you take that out, take these T30s loose, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this little piece right here comes out, and now you have all of this room here to remove your intake. So we'll get started. I'll show you the next part. Okay, and for the next part, we remove the intake air filter housing thing here. There's a 10mm bolt here. Let's see if I can get down here. Right there, there's a 10mm bolt holding this on, and a 10mm nut holding this part of the bracket on right here. Let's see if I can see this right here. Yep, this little bracket. So then now this whole piece is loose from the intake, the little electric piece here. Then disconnect this plug from this. Disconnect it from the brake booster there. You'll take these two little clamps loose right here, and you'll take this whole piece out, just like that. And then this piece sits right inside here. So you just pull that out, it just wiggles right out. Yours may have a nut right here, but mine didn't. And then just disconnect this plug here. Make sure you start getting this disconnected, so you're going to pull the intake off with this on there, because it goes through the hole here. Now the next thing you want to do is give yourself some space with this dipstick tube here. There's a 13mm nut down here. Let's see that. Alright. Right down there. See where that bracket is? Beep, beep, beep. Yep, the 13mm right there. Yeah, take that out. There's also another plug right here. So unplug that. There's also another plug back here. You want to take off the back of the intake right there. Okay. Disconnect this from here. Take that little plastic piece off that's holding these together, so you can separate them. This will stay over this way, and we'll pull the intake out with that still on there. And then disconnect this connector here, here. Alright. And we'll start for the next stuff. Alright, next thing you want to do, start disconnecting the vacuum lines. There's one right here. Just pinch this together and then it pulls out. Okay. And you got this little tube here. And then the next thing that's kind of the most aggravating part of this process is taking this off. This is the connectors for the injectors, and you see these little things right here? You got to push these off and roll them around, but make sure you don't lose them down there. They're very easy to lose. And then put them back on after you get it out, so you can just snap it back on when you're done. But once you take that off, it'll make it much easier to access these other bolts, and then you'll also be able to swing this back part of the harness around back there. So we've got pretty much everything loose around here. So we can start taking out the bolts for the intake and see if we have anything still hung up. Okay, so we got it out. There was a couple of things that are really hard to get to and get on camera, so I went ahead and just pulled it out. One of the issues you're going to deal with is this hose right here. and it connects right here to the PCV valve underneath the intake manifold. See if you can see this. Yeah, right there. Connects right there. Okay, so that's one problem you're gonna have. And then the other one is this fuel line. Okay, there's a little plastic connector right here, a little clip that holds it on. So you'll take that loose, loosen the whole intake, and once you loosen the intake, then you can get to this easily. Don't even try to get to it when it's still on there. It's just ridiculous. A couple other connectors down there. Had to take the throttle body off. There's 4 10mm bolts holding it on. Just push that, take that off, disconnect the connector here, put it off to the side, and you'll see a couple other little connectors around there. But this is basically it right here. Okay, got all this. All right, so this goes to the brake booster, and there's a little bracket here. I just took the bracket loose just to make it easier to move around. The biggest problem you're gonna have is this bracket right here. Okay, you have to remove the throttle body to even see this. So that goes right there. It's a 17mm nut that you will have to remove that in order to take this manifold off. If you don't, you're gonna pull on it all day, it's not coming off. So here is the crankcase breather valve that we're replacing right there. And then as you can see, this little O-ring, let's see if we can see it here. It's bulged out right there. So that's one issue. And this thing is just, looks like somebody's been in here and this is already loose. But you can see all the oil, the excess oil inside here. There's a lot of oil inside this intake. That's because that crankcase is bad. And it's letting too much oil inside of the intake, causing it to run poorly, bad fuel trims, so on and so forth. So this is one of the plugs that you're gonna have to get to right back here. That one right there, it's kind of hard to get to. And as you can see, he's got some broken vacuum lines here that I'm gonna have to figure out what all is going on with that. Right goes there. Typical situation of a old BMW, every vacuum line is completely destroyed. No surprise there. So there you go. If you got to replace your crankcase breather, that's what you're gonna have to do, and that's the problems you're gonna deal with. Okay, hope this video helped you. Like and subscribe.